Clive, we're here on Grammy Live right now on Grammy.com. Jennifer Hudson and Clive Davis himself. Sir, first of all, congratulations. I mean,
thanks so much. It's an exciting night.
It's so exciting.
You know, it's just memorable.
Clive Davis put Sean Combs in position. That's what Clive Davis does.
Jennifer Hudson's rise to fame will forever change how you see her, because the story you were told is only half of it. J-Hud wasn't supposed to be a star. She wasn't industry polished. She wasn't label connected. She got eliminated from American Idol.
And that person is Jennifer Hudson. Fantasia, you are safe.
Yet somehow, she didn't just rebound, she skyrocketed. From underdog to Oscar winner in record time. But as the trophies piled up, the whispers began. Her rise was too fast, too smooth. And just when it seemed like she had it all, tragedy struck in the most unimaginable way.
The frantic two-day search for actress Jennifer Hudson's missing nephew ended this morning with the worst possible outcome: the discovery of an SUV missing from the crime scene with a boy's body.
Most careers would have shattered, but Jennifer's didn't just survive, it exploded. Red carpets, Super Bowl stages, presidential invites.
Oh, say, can you see?
So, was it talent? Was it destiny? Or was there something far more chilling behind her unstoppable rise? Because once you hear everything she survived, you'll realize Jennifer Hudson didn't just get lucky. She became untouchable for a reason. Between 2007 and 2009, something shifted around Jennifer Hudson that even industry veterans still can't quite explain. One moment she was fresh off Dreamgirls, trying to land consistent work. And the next she was everywhere, gracing magazine covers, appearing at tribute shows, walking high-profile red carpets.
Cece, what's going on? L'Oreal.
It all seemed to happen overnight. And while many artists spend years fighting for a single moment in the spotlight, Jennifer's rise didn't just feel fast, it felt orchestrated. Her climb skipped the usual grind, no years of being sidelined, no slow burn indie roles, no label battles to keep her afloat. Instead, Jennifer went from reality show runner-up to Academy Award winner in one leap. That alone raised eyebrows, not because she wasn't talented, she was, but because Hollywood doesn't usually reward new unpolished actresses from reality TV with Oscars. Not unless there's something or someone bigger working behind the scenes. By 2008, her name was being framed differently. She wasn't just an exciting new talent. She was being positioned, framed as a replacement, a solution, a new face for an old legacy. And in the insider circles, the agents, stylists, executives, they weren't whispering about her as the next big thing. They were calling her the next Whitney. Not as praise, but as a label, a job description, a strategic handoff. That's when Clive Davis entered the picture.
Clive, we're here on Grammy Live right now on Grammy.com. Jennifer Hudson and Clive Davis himself. Sir, first of all, congratulations. I mean,
thanks so much. It's an exciting night.
It's so exciting.
You know, it's just memorable.
He's not just an executive, he's the executive. The one who built Whitney, the one who launched Alicia Keys, the one who always had a new star ready when the last one faded. In those quiet conversations, people weren't calling Hudson the next big thing. They were calling her the next Whitney. Not as a compliment, as a label, a job title, a succession plan. The grooming wasn't subtle either. Her styling shifted, the interviews softened, her music got safer, less gospel, more inspirational. And the way Clive Davis positioned her, showing up beside her, co-signing her talent at every opportunity, was the same way he presented Whitney in the early 80s. Industry people saw what was happening. They didn't say it out loud, but they knew. Jennifer Hudson wasn't just being promoted. She was being programmed. By 2009, Jennifer was being photographed next to Diddy. She was showing up at events hosted by the very same moguls under fire today. Not just award shows, but closed-door, high-level parties. Designer events, silent fundraisers, the kind of rooms where careers aren't made. They're bought, traded, and protected. Now think about what kind of access that really is. Most grieving artists disappear. They take time off. They fall out of rotation. But Jennifer was inserted into high society almost immediately after one of the most traumatic events imaginable. No delay, no visible breakdown. Just a carefully managed return. Even her fans started to question it. How did someone so fresh off of tragedy return so clean, so focused, so manufactured? This isn't a judgment of her strength. This is about the optics and how those optics were being shaped by people who've since been accused of shaping a lot more than careers. When your circle includes Clive Davis and Sean Combs, the nature of your rise deserves scrutiny. Because those are men known for two things: building stars and burying secrets. Hollywood doesn't wait for its icons to fade. It replaces them before the headlines hit. When Whitney Houston started unraveling publicly, Clive Davis didn't try to fix her image. He focused on her replacement, someone who could sing like her, someone with a backstory the public could get behind, someone he could control. That someone was Jennifer Hudson. The shift didn't happen overnight, but it didn't take long. And if you go back and watch the media coverage from 2008 through 2010, you'll see it clear as day. Articles talking about Hudson carrying the torch, critics praising her as the voice of her generation, executives hailing her as the new face of soul. But here's what gets lost in that praise. Nobody just becomes the new face of anything. Not without a machine behind them. Not without contracts, NDAs, handlers, stylists, and publicists running point on every word spoken and every note sung. It's not a conspiracy, it's a business model. You need a face. You find one. And if that face has a tragic backstory, even better. It sells, it's relatable, it distracts. And Jennifer, knowingly or not, became that face. Her rollout mirrored Whitney's almost identically. The press coverage, the label support, the gala performances. It was all textbook, just updated for a new era. And by the time people realized how familiar it felt, it was too late. She wasn't rising anymore. She was already installed. Fast forward to today, Diddy is on trial. The stories coming out are darker than anything the public imagined. Allegations of T-facking, manipulation, control, and slowly names are starting to surface. People who were around, people who knew, people who benefited.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already.
The deeper this court case goes, the more people are being forced to look back, not just at Diddy, but at the entire culture he belonged to. The system that Clive Davis helped build, the artists who rose under their watch. And now Jennifer Hudson's name is surfacing again, not because she dropped a new album, not because she's caught in scandal, but because her timeline, her rise, keeps intersecting with theirs. She was there, in the rooms, signing the deals, posing with the moguls now under fire. And as this trial unfolds, there's a growing sense that more uncomfortable links may come to light. In fact, some already have. To be clear, no one's accusing Jennifer Hudson of a crime. She hasn't been charged. There's no direct evidence tying her to anything illegal. But what people are talking about now, what they can no longer ignore, are the patterns. The industry doesn't move randomly. Power has fingerprints. And in 2025, the public is paying attention in ways it never did before. Sudden success, tight-lipped silence, carefully curated access. These things don't just happen. They're arranged. So before this trial hits its third week, before another name gets leaked, before the spotlight shifts from Diddy to Clive Davis, there's a question we should all be asking. Why was Jennifer Hudson the one chosen to carry Whitney Houston's legacy? And what or who had to be removed for that to happen? That question stopped being rhetorical on the morning of October 24th, 2008. Because that was the day Jennifer Hudson's real life turned into a headline. The day her name would no longer just be tied to red carpets and award speeches, but to blood, loss, and unthinkable violence. The serene neighborhood of Englewood on Chicago's South Side was shattered by the discovery of 3 heinous unalivements. The victims were Jennifer Hudson's mother, Darnell Donnerson, her brother, Jason Hudson, and her nephew, Julian King. Darnell Donnerson and Jason Hudson were found to death inside their home. The body of 7-year-old Julian King was found 3 days later on October 27th in an abandoned vehicle. He had also been shot. The discovery of these crimes was initiated by Hudson's sister, Julia Hudson, who found the bodies of their mother and brother. Realizing that her son Julian was missing, an Amber Alert was issued, sparking a widespread search. Unfortunately, this search ended in tragedy with the discovery of Julian's body, adding another layer of grief to the already devastated Hudson family. The investigation into the deaths quickly zeroed in on William Balfour, Julia Hudson's estranged husband. Balfour had a history of violence and had previously threatened the Hudson family. His relationship with Julia was tumultuous, marked by frequent arguments and a separation. Despite these warning signs, the true extent of his violent capabilities became horrifyingly clear in the wake of the deaths. Balfour was arrested on October 24th, the same day the bodies of Donnerson and Jason Hudson were discovered. Initially held on a parole violation, Balfour was not immediately charged with the killings, as investigators worked to gather sufficient evidence. His fingerprints were found on the vehicle where Julian King's body was discovered, and ballistics matched the gun used in the unalivements to a weapon associated with Balfour. In December 2008, William Balfour was formally charged with 3 counts of first-degree M and 1 count of home invasion. The prosecution's case rested heavily on physical evidence and witness testimonies that placed Balfour at the scene of the crime and linked him to the demises. The trial of William Balfour began in April 2012, nearly 4 years after the unalivements. During the trial, the prosecution painted a picture of Balfour as a jealous and vengeful individual who could not accept Julia Hudson's decision to leave him. They argued that his actions were driven by a combination of spite and possessiveness. Key evidence presented during the trial included the testimony of neighbors who heard gunshots and saw Balfour at the Hudson residence around the time of the unalivements. Additionally, cell phone records and surveillance footage further implicated Balfour. The defense, however, attempted to cast doubt on the prosecution's case, arguing that the evidence was circumstantial and that there were other possible suspects. Jennifer Hudson took the stand during the trial, delivering a powerful testimony. She spoke about the last time she had seen her family and described her relationship with Balfour. Her emotional testimony underscored the personal loss she had suffered and highlighted the profound impact of the deaths on her life. On May 11, 2012, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury found William Balfour guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, ensuring that he would spend the rest of his life in prison. The verdict provided a measure of justice for the Hudson family, though it could never fully heal the wounds left by such a devastating loss. The unalivements of Jennifer Hudson's family members had a profound and lasting impact on her life and career. At the time of the tragedy, Hudson was at the height of her success, having recently won an Academy Award for her role in Dreamgirls and achieving critical acclaim as a singer. The sudden and violent loss of her loved ones was a shock that reverberated through her personal and professional life. In the immediate aftermath, Hudson took a step back from the public eye, canceling appearances and postponing projects. Her grief was palpable, and the media coverage of the case added to the immense pressure she faced. However, Hudson's resilience and strength became apparent as she gradually returned to her career, channeling her pain into her music and performances. In 2009, Hudson made a powerful comeback at the Super Bowl 43, where she delivered a poignant rendition of the national anthem. This performance was seen as a testament to her enduring talent and resilience. Later that year, she released her second studio album, I Remember Me, which featured songs that reflected her journey through grief and healing. Hudson also established the Julian D. King Gift Foundation in honor of her nephew, Julian King. The foundation focuses on providing stability, support, and positive experiences for children of all backgrounds, aiming to ensure that Julian's memory lives on through acts of kindness and generosity.
And so my sister and I started the Julian D. King Gift Foundation. And so we give back to unfortunate kids and make sure they have the school needs they need.
And we also have a toy drive on the holiday season.
However, in 2016, Balfour broke his silence, granting a rare interview to ABC 7's Chuck Goody from the confines of Pontiac Correctional Center in Illinois.
Understand why you would have been considered a suspect?
No. For what? Everything that was said in trial about me making threats or anything like that, it was all new to me.
The interview, conducted against the backdrop of Pontiac's imposing walls, provided a chilling glimpse into the mind of a convicted unaliver. Balfour maintained his innocence adamantly, denying any involvement in the unalivements of Darnell Donnerson, Jason Hudson, and 7-year-old Julian King. He portrayed himself as a victim of a vast conspiracy, alleging that evidence was planted and witnesses lied to secure his conviction. Balfour's words, uttered from behind prison walls, offered a haunting insight into his mindset as he grappled with the enormity of the crimes he was accused of committing. "I didn't have anything to do with the case, and don't know who had anything to do with the case," he asserted, his voice carrying a mixture of defiance and frustration. Despite facing life behind bars, he remained steadfast in his denial of guilt. Throughout the interview, Balfour's demeanor was strikingly calm, almost detached, as if he were recounting a mundane event, rather than discussing the brutal unalivements of 3 innocent people. When asked about his whereabouts during the unalivements, he maintained his innocence, stating, "The case, as he puts it, was a triple M in Inglewood in the home of his estranged wife, Julia, Hudson's sister." His words were devoid of emotion, offering no hint of remorse or regret. Balfour's refusal to accept responsibility for his actions was evident in his responses to Goody's probing questions. When asked about witnesses who claimed to have seen him with the unalivement weapon, he dismissed their accounts as lies. "Did you ever have the gun?" Goody asked pointedly. "Number not one time," Balfour replied, his tone unwavering. He portrayed himself as a victim of circumstance, a pawn in a larger conspiracy orchestrated to secure his conviction. As the interview progressed, Balfour's narrative became increasingly convoluted, filled with accusations and deflections aimed at discrediting the prosecution's case against him. He accused his ex-wife, Julia, and former friends of lying on the stand, painting himself as the true victim of their deceit. "You wanted her dead, didn't you?" Goody probed. "No, not at all," Balfour responded, his denial ringing hollow in the stark confines of the prison walls. Despite overwhelming evidence presented at trial, including cell phone records and gunshot residue, Balfour remained resolute in his assertion of innocence. He claimed that evidence was planted and witnesses coerced to secure his conviction, painting himself as the ultimate scapegoat in a vast conspiracy orchestrated to obscure the truth. One of the most chilling moments of the interview was when Balfour discussed Julian King, the innocent 7-year-old caught in the crossfire. Balfour speculated on the reasons behind the child's unalivement, suggesting he may have been keyed to prevent identification. His callousness in discussing the tragic death of a young child was jarring, revealing a disturbing lack of empathy or remorse. Goody pressed Balfour on his decision not to testify at trial, a decision he attributed to his trial lawyer. "You could have overruled that," Goody pointed out. Balfour's refusal to provide further details on this matter added another layer of mystery to an already baffling case. Despite facing life in prison without parole, Balfour remained defiant, clinging to his assertion of innocence even as his appeals were repeatedly denied. A few years later, in 2019, Jennifer Hudson sat down for a new interview with British paper The Guardian. In it, the Oscar-winning star got frank about the 2008 unalivements of her mother, brother, and 7-year-old nephew at the hands of her sister Julia's estranged husband, William Balfour. Balfour was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences for the fatal shootings. Hudson, mother to 10-year-old son David, said that despite her grief, she's focused on not letting the tragedy upend her own life. "Thank God," she told the paper. "I think I attribute that first to God, next to the fact that when you experience trauma, it comes and goes. It's always there, but it's a matter of how you deal with it." The former American Idol finalist added that her late loved ones would have wanted her to press forward and do what they would have wanted me to do. She said, "It would be worse to me not to press forward. I'm hearing my brother's voice say, 'Jenny, knock it off.' He would be angry at me for giving up. Or all the things that my mother instilled in us. She prepared us. She would say, I'm not always going to be here and I want you all to be able to make it. She used to say, without family, you have nothing, which is why it's so important to take care of family. So if I'm doing that, I know I'm pleasing my mother. As for my nephew, that's where the Julian D. King Gift Foundation, her charity organization, comes from, because he was strong and very smart. So to live in a way that honors them is what presses you forward, not to mention, thank God, that I have a child to live for. What's more, in a 2020 episode of Oprah's Next Chapter, Hudson revealed that she had forgiven the man convicted of unaliving her family. The Oscar and Grammy winner recalls seeing Balfour in the courtroom during the trial. "It made my skin crawl," she said. In the days that would follow, that negative energy would turn into a feeling of relief as he was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree M. Now that Balfour has been sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, Hudson says she forgives him. "For the most part, it's not his fault," said Hudson. "It's like what he was taught and how he was brought up. We tried to offer love. He was so far gone he couldn't even see that. He never had a chance." As for the impact of the unalivements 4 years later, Hudson says, "There's so many shocks involved in it. Like, who do I grieve for first? Or who do I start with? Of course, I'm going to think of my mother because it's my mother. I think of her a lot. Next, I think of Julian or my brother. I have moments where it's bits and pieces." Hudson admitted she hasn't visited the gravesite of her slain family members since they were buried. "Now I want to go because I feel like we've accomplished this. We've done this. We got justice for you. I can't come back here empty-handed. I've come back with justice being served." However, this was weird for fans because most of them could not understand why she would be so quick to forgive and let go someone who unalived her family. You see, rumors of secret societies and occult practices have long plagued the entertainment industry. Hudson's rapid rise to fame and the tragic timing of her family's deaths have led some conspiracy theorists to link her to the so-called Illuminati, suggesting she made a sacrificial pact. They argue that her success came at the cost of her family's lives, pointing to the eerie alignment of events. In any case, the fact that nobody knows for sure if celebrities do sacrifice people close to them does not mean that it doesn't happen in Hollywood. However, until we have solid evidence, fans can only continue to speculate. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.